Selamat datang di kamar belajar bahasa Inggris. Selama beberapa menit ke depan, kamu tidak sedang belajar bahasa Inggris. Ini bukan latihan biasa. Ini cara paling langsung merasakan bahasa Inggris dari dalam, seolah-olah kamu benar-benar hidup di situ. Pasang headphone dan siapkan telingamu untuk pendengaran lebih baik. Ambil napas, lalu ikuti dengan suaramu dan biarkan dirimu masuk ke dalam pengalaman berbahasa Inggris yang akan mengubah cara kamu berbicara.
You settle into the deep armchair by the window as the late afternoon light slips across the floorboards in long, honey-colored bands. The air holds a faint trace of rain that fell earlier, mixed with the dry, papery scent of the open book you set aside. Outside, the leaves of the old plane tree move with a soft, irregular hush. You rest your hands lightly on the arms of the chair and feel the worn fabric give under your palms. A quiet sense of arrival settles over you, the kind that asks for nothing and offers everything. Your thoughts drift, unhurried, toward the person who has always occupied a particular place in the landscape of your life. Not the loudest presence, not the one who demanded the center of every room, but the one whose absence would rearrange the entire map of home. You let the image of them form slowly, the way a photograph develops in dim light. You see the way they enter a space. There is never any rush in it. Their movements carry a kind of practiced economy, as though every gesture has already been considered and found sufficient. You notice again how their eyes take in a room before they speak, gathering the small details most people overlook. The slight tension in someone's shoulders, the half-finished sentence left hanging in the air. You remember the particular quality of their attention, steady, unshowy, and complete. You begin to speak the words that rise without effort. There is someone in my family who has always felt like the quiet center of gravity. When everything else tilts, they remain the fixed point I return to. Their presence recalibrates the atmosphere of a room so gently that you only notice the change after it has already happened. Conversations soften around them. Arguments lose their sharp edges. Even silence becomes companionable rather than empty. You describe the sound of their voice, the low, measured cadence that never needs to raise itself to be heard. It carries a pragmatism tempered by something almost tender, a refusal to turn life into a series of crises. You speak of the way they listen, not merely waiting for their turn, but absorbing what is said and what remains unsaid. You have watched them do this for years, and still it feels like a rare form of generosity. You linger on the small rituals that belong only to them. The particular way they fold a newspaper, the unhurried stirring of tea, the brief pause before answering a difficult question, as if they are weighing not only the words, but the weight those words will place on the person receiving them. You remember how they once sat with you through an entire evening of uncertainty, offering neither false reassurance nor dramatic pronouncements, only the steady company of someone who refused to look away. You find yourself naming the qualities that set them apart. There is a quiet integrity that never announces itself, a consistency between what they say and what they do that has become, over time, a kind of sanctuary. You have come to rely on it, the way one relies on the reliable turning of seasons. When they give their word, it settles into the air with the finality of something already accomplished. When they withhold judgment, the space that opens feels spacious rather than vacant. You speak of their humor, dry, lightly ironic, never cruel. It arrives at precisely the right moment, deflating tension without diminishing the seriousness of whatever is at stake. You have watched that humor pull people back from the edge of their own self-importance more times than you can count. It is one of the quiet gifts they offer, without ever presenting it as such. You describe the way they carry memory, not the dramatic, curated version of the past that some people polish and display, but the lived texture of ordinary days. They remember the small kindnesses, the almost forgotten conversations, the particular light that fell across a kitchen table on an otherwise unremarkable afternoon. In their telling, these details regain their original weight. You realize each time that they have been keeping a more faithful record of your shared life than anyone else. You speak of their courage, though they would almost certainly dismiss the word. It is not the loud variety that seeks witnesses. It is the quieter kind that shows up when the cost is high and the audience is small. You have seen them absorb disappointment without bitterness, meet uncertainty without theatrics, and continue forward with a steadiness that makes the rest of you feel less alone. There is something almost ethereal in that constancy, as though they have made peace with the limits of control and chosen, instead, a different kind of strength. You let the words slow for a moment, allowing the image of them to remain vivid behind your eyes. You notice again the particular set of their shoulders when they are listening intently, the faint lines that appear at the corners of their eyes when genuine amusement takes hold. You remember the way their presence has always made ordinary rooms feel more inhabitable, more forgiving of human frailty. You continue, softer now. They have never tried to reshape me into something more convenient. That, perhaps, is the rarest gift. In their company, I have always been allowed to remain unfinished, contradictory, still in the process of becoming. They meet me where I am, without the subtle pressure to arrive somewhere more impressive. And in that meeting, I discover I am more capable than I believed. You speak of the inheritance they have given, without ever naming it as such, a certain way of looking at difficulty, a preference for clarity over comfort, an instinct to stay rather than to flee when things grow complicated. These are not lessons delivered in formal moments. They have simply been lived in front of you, day after ordinary day, until they became part of the air you breathe. You feel the quiet satisfaction of having given these thoughts their proper shape. The light outside has shifted further toward evening, and the room holds a deeper stillness. You rest in that stillness for a while, the image of them remaining clear and close. When you finally rise from the chair, the sense of having spent time in good company lingers. You carry it with you as you move through the rest of the evening, an unhurried gratitude, a renewed awareness of the quiet architecture that certain people build inside a life.